following show is controversial and contains content you may find offensive. Listener discretion is advised.
98FM's Dublin Talks with Adrian Kennedy.
Well, good morning. How are you this morning? Wednesday morning, the 29th day of May 2019. I'm Adrian Kennedy, and between now and midday today, this is 98FM's Dublin Talks, the mid-morning talk and phone-in show for Dublin, by Dublin, and about Dublin. So, what have we got coming up on the programme? Well, in the first hour, we'll be crossing to the Central Criminal Court in just a moment for the latest on the Anna Kriegel murder case. At around 20 past 10, a row is brewing at a Castleknock Educate Together school over sex education. We're going to be finding out what the issue is here. If you are a parent in the school, maybe you want to get involved in the conversation. Our telephone number is 6797 981. You can also text or WhatsApp the programme on 0877 98 98 98. Just before 11, the Gardaí are detecting a huge amount of motorists driving with cannabis in their system. We'll be finding out why some think it's socially acceptable to drive after smoking a joint. We'll deal with that a little bit later on. All that and much more between now and midday today. Live from Dublin City Centre, this is Adrian Kennedy, and this is 98FM's Dublin Talks. Now, first off on the programme today, the latest on a trial that has literally gripped this country over the last couple of weeks. And I'm talking, of course, of the trial of two boys accused of the murder of teenager Anna Kriegel. And for the latest, we go over now to the Central Criminal Court, and we're joined by 98FM's courts reporter, Frank Graney. And Frank, the jury has now finished watching all 8 recorded interviews carried out with boy B after Anna's body was discovered. The final 3 took place after he was rearrested on suspicion of her murder. Frank, can you tell us what he told detectives during those final interviews?
Sure. Good morning, Adrian. Well, in his second last interview following his rearrest last July, he was initially arrested in May of last year, 1 week after Anna's body was discovered at that derelict farmhouse in Lucan. And he was arrested, I think, on 5 occasions under caution after that initial arrest. And then he was rearrested in July, about 6 weeks after his initial arrest, and there were 3 interviews conducted thereafter. And the jury has been watching those over the last couple of days. And in one of these interviews, the detectives asked him about boy A's backpack, and he was shown a photo of it, and he confirmed that it was it did belong to his co-accused. He said he was then shown pictures of what was found inside. And just to remind your listeners, because I know that this is the warning that you give every day, but the evidence in relation to some of these things, and indeed the case in general, can be quite distressing at sometimes. Some listeners may be quite distressed by it, because he was shown a photograph of some gloves. These were found in the backpack. And in relation to those, he said, those are the gloves that he was wearing. And he said that he only noticed them when boy A was choking Anna. He said he didn't know if he had them on beforehand, but he said that he usually wears gloves outside. In relation to some knee pads and the snud that were found inside the bag, he said he didn't see the knee pads found in the bag and didn't notice him wearing them in the house. Same with the snud, he said. A photograph of a homemade mask that was found in the bag was also shown to him. This is a mask that has already been shown to the jurors. And he said, I know about the mask. I've worn it before. It's really cool. He said boy A made it for the previous Halloween, and he put it on in his house. He said they called it the zombie mask. And he initially said that he didn't see boy A wearing it in the house, but later admitted that he was in fact wearing it when he claims he saw him flip Anna onto the ground and start choking and undressing her in what he described as the carpeted room in that abandoned house in Lucan.
Now, during the course of this interview, he also told Gardaí that the other boy had told him a month beforehand that he was planning to kill Anna. Can you tell me more about that?
That's right. He was asked a little bit more detail about that, and he said that he claimed that boy A just came up to him one day and asked him if he wanted to kill somebody. And when he told him he didn't, he said he asked who he was planning to kill, and he said Anna Kriagel. And to that he replied, in your dreams. He said he didn't think that he was serious and that he thought he was just joking or messing. He claimed that he had said it to some friends too. And again, he didn't think that he was being serious. He said they used to always joke around and would say to each other, if they were angry, for example, oh, I'm going to kill you. But he said it was always as a joke.
Okay, and was he asked why it took him so long to reveal what Boy A had apparently told him?
He was, and he said that he was scared. He said that he was in shock. He said he didn't know what to do. He said he didn't know Boy A's plan that day. He didn't know he was going to kill her. And he insisted that he only called for Anna because of what he thought was a friendly request from Boy A, who cited relationship issues for wanting to see her. In his version of events of what happened on the day that Anna went missing and the day the prosecution believes the two boys killed her, May 14th of last year, Boy B said that he was at home after school when Boy A called over and asked him to call for Anna Kriagel. And after initially saying that he didn't want to, he said that he reluctantly agreed because he claimed Boy A started whinging. And when he asked him why he wanted to see Anna Kriagel, why he wanted to talk to her, he cited relationship issues. And he was asked by detectives why he made up stories afterwards. And again, he said he was scared. He was asked what he was scared of, and he said that he was scared of being framed by Boy A.
And was he asked why he went to the abandoned house? Because he had initially denied going there in earlier interviews.
He had. What he had said in his earlier interviews was that he had gone into the abandoned house before on one occasion. He said that he and Boy A and two of their friends had gone into this abandoned farmhouse in Lucan to go exploring. But he said that was many months before Anna Kriagel went missing. Now, he did admit in subsequent interviews after his arrest that he did, in fact, go into that abandoned house. And he was asked why he went there, considering it was a 25-minute walk, and he said he didn't know. He was asked why he'd walk all that way with a girl when he knew there was nothing in it for him. And again, he said he thought it was because he thought it was a friendly thing, but something that he was doing for his friend. He was shown a photograph of Anna's top that was found at the scene, and he told Gardaí that he saw her raise her arms as Boy A apparently took it off her. He was told that the top had a tear down the side of it, which forensic scientists had examined under microscope, and they told him that the tear and the scientific evidence didn't tally with his account of what happened. Detectives put it to him that the evidence showed, in fact, that it had been forcibly removed. And he was asked why he didn't tell Gardaí about that mask and all the other bits before. He said he was shocked from what he saw and from the realisation that her blood was found on his friend's boots. He also said he forgot. And he was asked how could he forget a girl's trousers being taken off in such a way by someone wearing a zombie mask and knee pads. And again, he said he was scared and shocked and just wanted to forget about it when he got home. He said he just wanted to make things the way they were.
And did he give any sort of explanation as to why he left the house and didn't stay to help Anna?
He did. That was a question that was put to him after he gave Gardaí what was to be his final version of events, his final account of what happened in the abandoned house that day. And he said that he was ashamed, that he was shocked and horrified about running away and not helping her. And when asked why he didn't, he said he just didn't know what to do. He said he was scared and his brain just stopped working, and the only thing he could think of to do was to go. He was asked why he didn't tell somebody at home, why he lied to Gardaí after she'd been reported missing, and he said he was just too scared to tell them. It was put to him that he could have saved Anna, and he said, I know. He was asked why he didn't try and save her, and he said he didn't know. Gardaí accused him of leading them on a merry dance and put it to him that the only logical explanation for him going into the house first, before Anna and Boy A went in, because he claimed that they were talking outside when he first went into the house to explore. And Gardaí put it to him that the only logical explanation for him doing that was to check if the coast was clear before Boy A brought Anna inside. And towards the end of what was his final interview, Gardaí put it to him that they believed that he took part in the murder, that he brought her there, and in his own words, handed her over to Boy A, knowing what was to happen to her, that he, in the words of one of the detectives, brought the prize and lured her to her death. He denied that was the case. Looking back, Boy B said that he realised he should have helped Anna and really wishes that he had, but he insisted that he only brought her there because he thought Boy A was going to talk to her about a crush that she apparently had on him, because he said that he wanted to reject her. He was accused of telling lie after lie and of allowing the charade to go on as people searched for her in the park, while he knew all along that she was dead in that farmhouse. And again, he said he didn't think that his friend would murder her that day.
Finally, Frank, can you tell us what the jury is expected to hear today?
Well, what I can tell you is that the jury have now finished watching all of those recorded interviews. That obviously took some time. There were 8 recorded interviews conducted in 2 different Garda stations by the same 2 detectives, and they were played in full for the jurors. So that has taken some time to get through, but we have now gotten through them all. The prosecuting barrister, Brendan Grant, told the jurors yesterday that they would hear today from a number of Garda witnesses, and he is going to ask them some questions just in relation to those video interviews, but we don't know what evidence, if any, is going to be called by the prosecutor after that.
98FM court reporter Frank Graney, thanks very much indeed for talking to us.
Thanks, Adrian.
All right, and we will keep you up to date as that trial continues. Now, you're listening to 98FM's Dublin Talks. This is Adrian Kennedy with you until midday today. After the break, if you have a child in an Educate Together school, would you mind if their sex education programme was run by a religious funded group? In other words, a group funded by the Catholic Church. We'll be hearing about a protest that has taken place at Castleknock Educate Together National School. Parents not at all happy that the organisation Accord was invited to deliver the Relationships and Sexuality Education programme. We'll find out what their issue is next.
98FM's
Dublin Talks
with Des Kelly Interiors. For all the latest trends in carpets, vinyls and wood flooring. Des Kelly Interiors, where quality flooring costs less.
98FM.
And this is Adrian Kennedy with you until midday today. Now, if you had a child, or if you have a child in an Educate Together school, would you mind if their sex education programme was run by an organisation funded by a particular church? Well, a protest was held at the Educate Together National School in Castleknock last night by parents who were against the school management's decision to invite Catholic marriage agency Accord into the school to deliver relationships and sexuality education. The Parents Association sent a letter to the school's management back in March saying it's difficult to see how an organisation funded by the Catholic Church and with a clear religious ethos could ever have been deemed fit for purpose to deliver the RSE programme. Now, in a statement, Educate Together said it had been contacted by parents and takes this issue very seriously, but also said it's up to individual schools to decide who delivers the programme. They've written to all Educate Together schools to ensure that RSA, or RSE should I say, is delivered in a way that is consistent with its ethos and free from religious bias. And here's the question. Do you think it's appropriate for Accord to be teaching sex education in Educate Together schools, which by their very nature are non-denominational, non-religious schools? Well, I'm joined on the line by Leisha MacDonald from Castleknock Educate Together's Parents Association. Leisha, welcome to 98FM.
Thanks very much.
Tell me, firstly, how did the protest go last night?
It was really good. It was really positive. There was about 85 parents and children there, past pupils, past parents. It was a really positive event or protest. It wasn't about being anti-Catholic. It was about being pro-Educate Together.
Now, obviously, as I mentioned, and indeed my own children went to an Educate Together school in Bray, so I'm very familiar with the ethos of Educate Together. But what exactly are the issues here that parents have with regard to Accord, which is, I always understood to be the Catholic marriage agency, where people go for their pre-marriage courses and stuff like that.
Yes.
But what exactly is the issue with Accord delivering the RSA programme in Castleknock?
Well, Accord, as a charity, they are trying to promote Christianity through the marriage courses and also through their education program in schools. They have two different types of programs. They have a program that they deliver in Catholic schools, and they have a multi-denominational program for schools such as our own. We understand that they don't go into any religious aspects during the program. We understand that. The problem is that when parents enroll their children in an Educate Together school, and many people who do that are Catholic themselves, but they've chosen an Educate Together school on the understanding that no religious body will deliver any element of the curriculum. So what we're saying is that we understand that there's no religion in the class, but we are still uncomfortable with a religious body delivering an element of the curriculum in an Educate Together school, and we would prefer for it to be delivered by a secular provider.
Okay, now I've spoken to people over the last 24 hours knowing that this was coming up about Accord, and people who've attended, for example, pre-marriage courses that were run by Accord, and every single one of them said that they didn't get a religious vibe from it at all. Is this not... Are you not being overly concerned about something that isn't really an issue, in that it's not priests that would be giving the talks, it is lay people in the main?
I think that if you look at the reaction all over social media, is that I'm not alone in the way that I feel. This is a modern Ireland after a vote to accept all people, and regardless of who they happen to love. If a child in one of these classrooms brings up anything that is outside of the RSE curriculum, as it currently stands, it doesn't acknowledge homosexuality or lesbian, gay, LGBTQ rights, the child will be told to take that home and discuss it with their parents.
Oh, so it won't even be addressed?
No.
Well, let me look at what happened, because this isn't the first year that this has been an issue. This was an issue last year as well. And were there any practical problems last year with Accord delivering the relationships and sexuality education in that school?
The parents who did not want their children to attend were told that they would have to keep their children at home that day. The school didn't provide anywhere for the child to go. So essentially, if you objected to your child participating, your child missed a day of school, which is against that child's rights. I mean, that child should.
Well, would that not be the case regardless of who was actually delivering the classes?
It's just that you would expect for a school to make provision for the fact that there are children that don't want, or parents who don't want their children to attend. You see, the thing is that the secular provider who we would favour, Sarah Sproul, who is from the talk.ie, when she was asked how would she deal with a child saying that my parents are gay, or I'm gay, or my brother's gay, she would say that she would deal with this in an age-appropriate fashion, but that she would feel uncomfortable not answering it.
Okay, but again, my question was, were there any practical issues last year with Accord delivering this RSE program?
I don't understand what you mean by practical issues.
Are there any examples from last year's education of the answers being provided in a religious way, if you know what I mean?
No, it's not. It's nothing to do with religion. It's the fact that there are children and parents and teachers in our school who Accord, they blank. They make them invisible. It's like they don't exist. It's not acceptable to allow a body like that into a school like ours. It's not acceptable.
But again, I'm asking, do you know of any examples where a question may have been asked in class, and because of the nature of the organisation Accord, it wasn't answered, or it was brushed off, or whatever? To
the best of my knowledge, I don't think that any of the children present last year brought up anything that would have been awkward for Accord to answer. No. But we have received confirmation from Accord in writing that were that to happen, that would be.
That's how they would deal with it. Okay, yeah. All right. Now, we just for the record, we have reached out to Educate Together in Castleknock for a comment and haven't been able to secure a comment from them. But what are the schools saying to you, the parents?
Really deeply worryingly, they are pretending as if none of this is happening. So they haven't actually responded to anything. There was a newsletter released yesterday, and if you go on our website, anybody can see it doesn't even address it. It's like just a complete whitewash. It's like it's not happening. Right, now, obviously the school will be aware of the protest last night. Has that been completely ignored? Yes. You must be disappointed as a parent in the school. Yeah, but as I said, I have said, this unfortunately is a reoccurring issue. In that this is the second year this has been an issue. Yes, and lack of engagement and communication issues. It's indicative of the lack of respect that parents are held in by our school, unfortunately. All right, let me bring in another parent from the school. Ian, welcome to 98FM.
Good morning, Adrian.
You're on the Parent-Teacher Association yourself.
That's right, yeah.
Why do you think the school appear to be ignoring the concerns of a lot of parents?
I think that the board of the school is a word unto itself. We have been in touch with the parent body of Educate Together on numerous occasions to try and get some support for the parents, and they just say that the board are, they're answerable to themselves. So, and that board then is,
But they also say that they also say this is Educate Together, the umbrella body, have written to all Educate Together schools to ensure that RSE is delivered in a way that is consistent with its ethos and free from religious bias.
That was last night when they knew a protest was happening. We've been writing to them for years. I've written 4 or 5 letters to Educate Together, and I get a generic response saying that the board are. That they can't interfere, if you like, with a board, which I don't understand personally. I mean, I think they should have a representative on the board who is saying what they feel about.
And is there no parents? Is there no parents representative on the board?
Well, there is, but they don't seem to get that message across. There doesn't seem to be any pressure on our board to change track. This has been going on for years. Last year, when Accord were to come, what should happen is there should be first of all, a meeting with the parents beforehand so that we know what's happening. The sex education should happen, and afterwards there should be a follow-up. None of that happened last year. I took my daughter out of school on the day in protest because Eden lives with a gay person. As far as these people are concerned, that person doesn't exist. I just can't have her going to that kind of sex education. So,
how do you know, Ian, for example, last year, how many parents may have withdrawn their children from the RSE programme directly as a result of Accord?
Roughly 10, but I know many other parents, as we saw last night. 85 parents turned up last night. 160 parents signed a petition. That was 2 days ago. 160 parents had signed a petition not to have Accord in the school. That's roughly half the parents. So this is a huge issue for parents, but not every parent has the time to be protesting. I put myself forward for the review committee. I went along in good faith, and I realised that they did not want to hear what I was saying. I was told there was no time for what I was saying. I was told that I was, by the way, told 2 or 3 days beforehand that the committee was convening. I wasn't given any of the previous research and information that had been gathered. I managed to get my hands on it. I got prepared. I went along, and I was literally blanked. I was told
and just for the record, we have attempted to contact the school. We've emailed them and received nothing in return. So we've kind of reached a blank wall yesterday.
We're, as parents, we're very, very used to this. So I went along to the subcommittee, listened, tried to say what I felt, wasn't listened to, and then I was told it was going to be a secret ballot. Now, just to be very clear, last year we were told there was no alternative provider, but This year, we were absolutely certain that Sarah's Brew at the talk.ie was available on the days that were necessary for less money than Accord, and was willing to do the RSC provision. Not only that, but she was willing to come beforehand, talk to the parents, meet them afterwards, and have, as Leisha was saying, and have that open dialogue that if there were questions that the kids wanted answered, that she would answer age appropriately. None of that.
And I assume this lady is appropriately qualified for this.
Absolutely, fully qualified, and she's all over the internet. It's not a secret. But when I found out about Accord maybe 2 or 3 years ago, I was shocked that this was happening. And I know parents last night, when they saw the protest, were shocked that this was happening. So it's done in a kind of stealth and silent way, that you don't actually know who's providing this.
And how is it done? How is it done, to the best of your knowledge, Ian, in the many other Educate Together schools around Dublin?
Well, I know there are other Educate Together schools that are using Sarah's Brew at the talk. The best practice in this regard, and there's a bill in going through Parliament at the moment about this. Best practice in most areas of education is that there be continual professional development for teachers, so that they're up to date with what's the current best practice. But in our school, none of the teachers have got continual professional development. So they basically say, well, we're not in a position to be able to deliver this part of the RSC curriculum, and we'll farm it out, if you like. So at that point, it becomes really important who they farm it out to. And as Leisha was saying, if they farm it out to Accord, you know what you're getting, and more importantly, what you're not getting in terms of before, during and after care.
All right, stay there for 1 second, Ian, if you can, please. 6797 981 is our telephone number. You can text or WhatsApp 0877 98 98 98. You can also send a WhatsApp voice note to that same number, 0877 98 98 98.
Hi guys, I'm just sending a little message here because I can't ring in about the school and the sex education. I just think that nowadays people are up in arms about absolutely anything, and they're just anything that has the word religion in it. But I genuinely don't think that the Accord one is all just about religious beliefs. I think that they do give great advice, and I kicked up an absolute stink having to do it for my wedding, having to pay the money for it. I was like, this is ridiculous. I'm not religious, and why do I have to do it? But then I was thinking, well, I am getting married, so in some ways I am religious, so I better just do it anyway. And I don't think I could get married without it, so I did it, and I actually thought it was really good. I thought it was really helpful, and there was no priest doing it like I thought there was. I was saying, what can a priest tell me that what do they know? And no, it was a man and a woman. No religion was mentioned, and it was just really good sound advice. And I would recommend anybody to do that. Now, that's not saying I know anything about the sex education one, but the Accord, I think they're there just to give good advice. So I would ask the schools maybe to look into it before they go causing murder and protesting about it. That's all. Thanks, bye.
Ian, what do you say to that message?
Well, two things. One is that we have made a very definite choice by sending our kids to Educate Together. Educate Together, I think, are about 5% of the schools that are out there. If that lady wants to send her daughter to one of the other 90% of schools, then she's very welcome to. But I sent my daughter to an Educate Together because I didn't want the Catholic Church, or by the way, any church, involved in my daughter's education.
Yes, and in fact, it's important to state that this isn't an anti-Catholic thing by any stretch of the imagination.
Absolutely not. No, and we know, I grew up as a Catholic. I have nothing against. In fact, if you think about it, the position that the school has put the Catholics in the school in by having us protest about a Catholic organisation coming in to give to preach to our children. They put them in an invidious position because to them it might seem that we're anti-Catholic, but we are in no way anti-Catholic. We're this provision of sex education to our children.
All right, do me a favour, Ian and Leisha, stay on the line there for 1 second. If you have a child in an Educate Together school, how is it done in their school? We're talking about the Relationships and Sexuality Education Programme. How is it done? And if you've any comments to make on what we're talking about, you can call us on 6797 981. You can text or WhatsApp 0877 98 98 98.
98FM's
Dublin Talks.
With Des Kelly Interiors. For all the latest trends in carpets, vinyls and wood flooring. Des Kelly Interiors. Where quality flooring costs less.
98FM.
And this is Adrian Kennedy. We're in the middle of a conversation all to do with a protest held last night by by parents at the Educate Together school in Castleknock. They're annoyed for the second year in a row over a decision by the school to have the Relationships and Sexuality Education Programme delivered to 5th and 6th class students by the Catholic-funded organisation Accord. Now, Lisa, why are you annoyed about this?
Hi, Adrian. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Adrian, the ethos of Accord and Educate Together are a parallel universe. My youngest son is, he's in secondary, Educate Together. But I can honestly tell you hand on heart that if there was any attempt for him to receive any element of his education through any Catholic-funded organisation, and I mean this, Adrian, the people coming in would not get past the gate because I'd block it. I feel that strongly about it. I would block the gate. I'd join forces with other parents, and if I had to, I'd plank my car across it, but there's no way they'd get across the gate of that school. I think it's disgraceful. I mean, the whole point of Educate Together is that there's no religion. That, if you choose any religious education, it's outsourced. You need to go and do it yourself, if they want to. But,
okay, so you fully support these parents objecting to Accord being invited to deliver the RSE programme?
I what? Sorry, Adrian?
You fully support these parents in objecting?
I'd stand with them, and my child is not even in that school. Yeah. I genuinely would. I feel that strongly about it. I think it's disgraceful, and I think that I tuned in late, so I don't know what's going on with the board of management in the school, whether, the parents are not being listened to, but I think they need to step it up a notch, All
right, Ian, let me put that to you. You need to step it up a notch.
Adrian, we've been years trying to get the ET body involved. We've had a whole school report this time last year, which pointed out the terrible communication that happens within the school between the board and the parents. The parents on the PTA. I've been on the PTA for 4 or 5 years, and we're just not listened to. Blanked. We had to have our meetings outside the school premises for years because we weren't even allowed on the premises. So that's the backdrop to what's happened this time around. But, all of that is okay in one regard, and I kept, at the PTA, kept going along, kept trying to make a difference. But there comes a point where you say, no more. When they knew our feelings about Accord, they invited me onto a policy review, and then there was no policy review. And they just, brought in Accord again. There comes a point where you have to stand outside the gates and say, this is unacceptable. It's just, holding us in the highest disdain, and we need to change things.
All right, let me go to Rathfarnham and Ghislaine. You have boys who are in an Educate Together school, but you also don't agree, you support these parents in objecting to Accord delivering the RSE programme.
I do indeed, Jeremy. I think it's really important to even highlight the fact of this being in schools. It defeats the whole purpose of having a school where no, religious is, it's actually in the ethos and the education being delivered by the school. But more than that, Jeremy, I think it's really important to highlight that this is actually a matter of public health, because in cases where the education sex education is provided by a religious group, no matter what, there would always be bias involved. You know what I mean? I think that's not something they would ever even deal with.
And can I ask you, in the school that your boys attend, how is the RSE programme done there?
Well, at the moment they are still going to a Catholic school because I had a house move, so I had to actually organise a different thing for them. But the youngest is going back to the Educate Together Edens. As of now, as far as I know, everything is done, outside of that, with no religious groups involved. And of course, everyone's free to, have their religious beliefs and things like that. But I do believe that when it comes to sex education, it should be done by even the HSE. It is a matter of public health more than anything. So I do believe that I wouldn't like, my kids to be taught sex education by someone who would have no even, academic, in terms of their careers and stuff like that. I wouldn't like them to be taught by anyone less than appropriate to be teaching that, if you know what I mean.
All right, and Ian, I know you have made an alternative suggestion as to somebody who could deliver the RSE programme in Castleknock, Educate Together. But that suggestion you've not even got a reply to, have you not?
No, so I actually went through the process of the charade of going to what was called a subcommittee on RSE review. I sat there. The person I'm talking about, who runs, everyone can listen to her at thetalk.ie. It's all out in the open that there is an alternative for Castleknock to choose. The principal and the people on the subcommittee were aware of that. We looked at, although we didn't actually review the policy itself, which what I thought we were there to review, we did look at were there alternative providers and, things like the cost, the dates, the practical side of it, if you like. There were two, in inverted commas, chosen to be voted on. One was Sarah's School at the Talk, the other was Accord, and I think 7 members, many teachers who were there, had a secret ballot. Now, ironically, and this will give you an indication of the communication processes at CTNS, I wasn't even informed about the result, although I should have guessed as you. But last Tuesday, then we were informed by an email saying that Accord would be providing it again this year. So
all right, now we have been in contact. Obviously, Accord is a Catholic-funded organisation, and we've been in touch with the Archbishop's House and have been told that this isn't an issue for them. This is an issue for the school, and obviously, they obviously provide this service, but they're not going to be. Your issue is regardless of how it is delivered, it is the fact that it is funded by a church. That's your main issue here.
Yes, but it's also about the content, in that, they will not take any questions that go outside the parameters of what they believe. So, for example, were my daughter even to ask a question about her housemate and his sexuality, they would blank that question. They would not answer it. And they say that specifically, to be fair to them. They say there won't be any follow-up on those kind of questions, and that they will tell the parents to deal with them, or at least for them to be dealt with at home. That is in writing. In 2019, that isn't what we expect.
Yes, okay. And isn't why you sent your child to an Educate Together school, yes.
As the previous speaker said, this is more a public health and public education issue. That we should all be getting sex-positive, inclusive, fact-based education. We shouldn't have any of the prejudice that we would have had in the 1950s in a Gael school. We should have Educate Together, more inclusive view of...
All right, let me just bring in a couple of messages before we wrap this up. My local school is a Catholic school, St. Kevin's Boys' School in Kilnamana, and the principal decided not to have a cord do the sex ed talk and does it himself. It's done respectfully and with a hint of humour. His decision was made as a cord not only doesn't address homosexuality, but won't talk about contraception, masturbation or abortion. And let's have a listen to this WhatsApp voice message.
Just in relation to the Educate Together fiasco going on there, surely if the parents could get together and come up with something as an alternative to teach their kids rather than protesting, if they got their heads together, had a look around, see what else that they could do, and then maybe approach the school with it. Just a thought.
Okay, well, that just a thought has already been addressed by Ian, that they have come up with alternatives and have been nothing has happened. Isn't that essentially the whole point of this, Ian?
Absolutely. That speaker doesn't know what he's talking about. We've spent a couple of years coming up with alternatives. This time, we brought it into the review policy. We gave them the alternative. We put it in their hand, and they still, as I said, blanked us.
Okay, let me go to... Stay there for a second. Let me go to Waterford. And Kieran is on the line from Waterford. Kieran, you're on 98 FM. How are you?
Adrian, good morning. How are you?
Very good. What's your point very quickly, please?
First-time caller.
You're very welcome.
I think we should get all religion out of schools, out of society. Have we not learned our lessons over the couple of hundred years of what Ireland, the last 100 years, even the last 30, 40 years, after all the scandals coming out, child abuse, children being murdered in homes, in the factories, what they call, the institutions years ago and all that kind of thing, the mother and baby homes, that kind of thing. Who has spent a day in court? Who has spent a day in a police station being questioned about this? No one. And we're letting these scumbags, and they are scumbags, the religious fundamental scumbags.
Hang on, I'm not going to let you in any way.
Listen, these people are trying to teach our kids about sexuality. They're the most repressed people on the planet.
Okay, can I just tell you, Kieran, that regardless of the fact that it's funded by the Catholic Church, all Accord programmes in this regard are delivered by lay people. They're not delivered by priests or nuns or anything like that. No. It
doesn't matter who it is. It could be Donald Duck. If he's a religious person, he is a fundamentalist lunatic. And he's teaching kids from the Bible.
Hang on, I have to stop you there and say that just because somebody might adhere to the Catholic Church doesn't mean they're a religious fundamentalist by any stretch of the imagination. And just very quickly, you are a primary school teacher. You've taught the RSE programme yourself. What did you want to say on this?
I was just ringing in to say that we have always just taught the RSE programme ourselves. We've never got an organisation in. It's a Church of Ireland school. Mm-hmm. And for the boys, we get a male member of staff to do the boys. A female teacher would do the girls. And in years when we've had no males, we've just got a local male nurse to come in and teach it to the boys.
Simple as,
yeah. And never been any issues.
Okay, so in terms of this school, do you think that they are right? Can you understand why they're objecting to this?
Yeah, and I would also object to it purely because as teachers, it's part of our training. I went on training days specifically for the RSE programme, even though we are fully trained to do it. So I don't see why the teachers themselves aren't just doing it. And
Ian, just finally on that point, what was the answer you were given with regard to why there isn't a teacher capable of doing this?
Well, the principal said to me that there was only funding for one teacher to be trained per year. And my point to her was they hadn't reviewed the policy since 2012. That would be 7 or 8 teachers that would be trained up had she put them forward for training. That's best practice. The best practice is that the teachers themselves, the people that the kids actually know, give this education. Adrian, this is not rocket science. It's not anything that sensitive that they have to talk about. I mean, they're talking about things like periods and condoms and, very, very simple, as I said before, factual, inclusive, sex-positive information is all they need. And yet it seems to be a problem in 2019.
All right, William, we're going to keep in touch with you and Leisha over the next couple of days to find out if you do get any response from the school in the wake of your protest. We have reached out to the school. We've got no reply. And if we get one, we'll let you know as well. So, Ian, thanks very much indeed for talking to us. And thank you to Leisha, who was on earlier on, parents from Castlelock Educate Together School. This is 98 FM's Dublin Talk.
98
Live and exclusive to Dublin's 98FM, Monday through Friday between 10 and midday. This is Adrian Kennedy. You're with 98FM's Dublin Talks. And Trish is here with Wednesday's top headlines.
Thanks, Adrian. Gardaí have recovered a loaded gun and silencer during a search in northwest Dublin last evening. The search was carried out in a wooded area off Waterville Road. A Makarov handgun with a fitted silencer along with 7 bullets have been sent for ballistic and forensic examination. Gardaí are to give an update on their investigations into 3 gangland shootings in the last week. Yesterday, Hamid Sanambar was shot dead while he was visiting the home of Sean Little, shot dead last Wednesday. Just hours after that shooting, Little's friend Jordan Davies was shot dead in Darndale. Homeless figures are up again. Figures for April show 10,378 people are now living in emergency accommodation, almost 3,800 of whom are children. That's an increase of 73 on the March figures. Meanwhile, the Housing Minister says websites should not be allowed to advertise substandard accommodation. Owen Murphy told the Housing Committee the government is considering legislation on the issue. And locals have rejected plans to divide the Phoenix Park into 5 different zones. Each area would have a theme like history and heritage, activity and well-being, identity and biodiversity. The OPW has extended the deadline for a public consultation until today. And now you're up to date on 98.
98FM's Dublin Talks with Adrian Kennedy.
Good morning. How are you today? It is Wednesday morning, Wednesday the 29th of May 2019, and I'm Adrian Kennedy. Between now and midday today, this is 98FM's Dublin Talks. Now, next on the programme, over the last 20 years, it has become socially unacceptable to drink and drive. And you know, if you know somebody doing it, you'll try and stop them. People tend not to do it, certainly in the way that they would have 20 or 30 years ago. It's rightly seen as dangerous and irresponsible, and most people agree that if you get behind the wheel with even one drink in your system, you are a menace on the roads. Well, some people agree that. However, the same attitude does not exist when it comes to cannabis. Many motorists see no problem with taking the drug and then driving their car. The Gardaí today promised to crack down on drug driving and release some pretty shocking statistics. Gardaí are reporting a 15% increase in DUI arrests, which is for drugs or alcohol, in the first 4 months of the year. Cannabis is the most common illegal drug detected. Drug drivers are now being targeted over the June bank holiday weekend, it was announced today. And here is the key line from the Road Safety Authority. Anyone who drives under the influence of drugs is a clear danger to themselves and others. And I want to find out whether or not you agree. Are you someone who, for example, smokes cannabis and then gets behind the wheel? If you do that, are you as bad as a drink driver? Is it still socially acceptable to smoke a joint and drive a car? Call me right now on 6797981. Paul, you're on 98FM. How are you, Paul?
How are you, Adrian? How's it going?
Good, thank you, Paul. What's your point on this?
I'm kind of coming at it at a different angle. I don't agree with anyone in the first place, either drinking or driving, drinking or taking drugs and driving. But why has it now come to a stage where last weekend it was speeding, this weekend it's drug driving or drunk driving, next weekend it can be something? Should they not be doing it 24 hours a day? Should there not be an ongoing thing where they're searching for this all the time? Not just setting up, we'll do a big sting this weekend and bump up our numbers, and then not even do anything for the rest of the week. That's, you know...
I know, because I've spoken to many in the past about this. I know people who smoke joints and believe that it has zero effect on their driving. Now, it's not until people accept that it does have an effect on your driving, like people now accept that drink does have an effect on your ability to drive. It's not until they accept that this will ever be dealt with.
I think with alcohol, it has changed in the last, we'll say, 15, 20 years in this country, where back then it was acceptable. And I'm sure your father did it. I know my father did it. They went to the local pub on a Saturday and Sunday, had a couple of pints and drove home. And there was never batted an eyelid at it. Then it went to a stage a couple of years ago where our local pub actually had one particular guard's roster in the bar because he was renowned for sitting outside the pub, waiting for people to leave.
Right.
And thankfully, it's got to the stage where people most decent people will not do it. Like, I'm a professional driver. I won't drink the day before I'm in work. Because if I'm caught with anything in my system, I'm finished. And I've taken a long time to build up a reputation.
Your point is that until that same message gets through to people who smoke a bit of dope, they're going to continue to do it.
I think so, because it's becoming more acceptable to smoke cannabis in this country at the moment. And I think people maybe get confused with the CBD oil and the cannabis. Like, there's a push, I think, at the moment to have it legalised. But anything like that in your system will affect your driving. You may not think it does, but it does. I mean, 1 pint will affect your driving. So I've never smoked cannabis. I wouldn't know. But I've seen friends of mine taking it, and I see what it does to them after 5 or 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. They turn into gobshites. So maybe it's just I'm anti-drug, but I just think any amount of any intoxicating anything will affect your driving straight away.
Okay, now, as far as you're concerned then, the Gardaí are right to be clamping down on this. It shouldn't just be for a bank holiday weekend. It should be all the time. What do you say? What do you say to those? And I don't smoke the stuff, so I don't know the effect it can have. I do know the effect of having a pint. I don't know the effect of having a joint. What do you say to those who believe? And in fact, if you are one of them, I'd love to hear from you on 6797981, who believe that smoking a joint doesn't affect their ability to drive.
They're living in Cloud land. But then again, how many of our parents and people before us, like Adrian, said, actually, I could go down and have 1 or 2 points and I'd be grand driving home. That doesn't affect. I'm a better driver when I've had a pint. How many times have you heard that excuse?
Yes, regularly, yeah.
Yeah, up until the day that they hit the neighbour's car or they hit one of the kids on the road, and then they realised they were actually being stupid. So, I mean, do Irish people really believe that they can smoke a joint or have a drink and be better behind the wheel and more competent?
Okay, like I said, I've spoken to people who smoke joints and believe that they're better drivers, that they're more relaxed, they don't get hyped up behind the wheel, all of that. You're saying those people are deluded?
But yeah, the reactions won't be as quick. There won't be. They can't be, because you put a stimulant into your system. It doesn't work that way. Once you put a stimulant in, everything changes.
Okay, stay there for 1 second, Paul. 6797981 is our telephone number. You can text or WhatsApp 0877 98 98 98. 0877 98 98 98. I want to talk to you about drug driving. And Gardaí are reporting a 15% increase in DUI arrests in the first 4 months of this year, which is a very high statistic, it has to be said, 15% increase. But that takes into account the fact that a lot of people are taking the risk of driving with drugs in their system, and cannabis is the most common illegal drug detected by Gardaí on their checkpoints. Let me read this message that's come in to us. Anyone driving who is under the influence of drugs like cannabis and are caught by the Gardaí should have their cars taken off them and sentenced to 10 years in prison with no early parole. Harsh punishments like that will stop people from driving cars while on drugs. Would you support harsh punishments like that, Paul?
No. Well, it depends on the level of the driving, I suppose. If there's an accident and somebody is killed, it should be more serious than if they're just caught with alcohol in the system. If you're caught with alcohol or drugs in your system, I would say a 6-month ban, and you have to resit your test at the end of it. I'd have no problem with that. But if you haven't hurt or killed anyone, you're not a danger to society in a way, or in a severe enough way for you to need a prison term.
All right, stay there for a second, Paul. Rob, you're on 98FM. How are you, Rob? Hello, Rob. Oh, Rob's not there. We'll try and get him back in a second. 6797 981 is our telephone number. Text or WhatsApp 0877 98 98 98. Let me read this message that's just come into us, and it says, you can smoke today and still be caught tomorrow if you're stopped. It does nothing to a person's driving, says this message. Everyone is always going to have a different opinion on it until you do it. Then you can comment. And as I said, I don't know the effect that it has on your driving because I don't smoke the stuff. So there's no point in me trying to claim that I do, although the Road Safety Authority have said very clearly, this is what they said, anyone who drives under the influence of drugs is a clear danger to themselves and others on the roads. Dave, you're on 98FM. How are you, Dave?
All right, Adrian.
Dave, what did you want to say on this?
Yeah, well, there's a slight bit of misinformation here. You see, a lot of the people who are found with cannabis in their system, it doesn't mean they're actually under the influence. See, cannabis stays in your system a lot longer than other drugs. Like, you're not going to find cocaine stays in your saliva for about 9 hours. Heroin stays in your system even less than that because it metabolizes into your body quicker. I know a guy, he hadn't smoked a joint for about a day and a half. He got drug tested on the side of the road. Cannabis turned up, and now he's off the road for 4 years. So, like, the guards are making out that there's this whole epidemic of people driving under the influence of cannabis, where that's just false. They're not detecting it more than they would have. It just means they're drug testing more.
Okay, and what do you say to, for example, that message a moment ago that says it does nothing to a person's driving?
But do you know what? For them, it might be. There are people out there who I call high-functioning potheads. A friend of mine is the very same. He smoked his brains out the whole way through college, ended up getting his master's degree. He's just able to function better than others. I wouldn't be like that. If I'm smoking a joint, it's usually at night time at home and the day is done. I wouldn't smoke a joint and get into a car. Like, if you do smoke a spliff and get into a car and you're high behind the wheel and the guards catch you, you know, pity about you. It's on your own head be it. Like, you deserve what you get.
But you're talking about your friend. Do you think that it would have an effect on him driving?
Well, he seems to be okay. We spent half of last summer driving around the West Coast and he was smoking away and he was fine. But the people like that are very few and far in between. People like to say like that nearly every pothead is like that, where it's not true. I don't know many people like that. There are a few out there.
Right, so this mate of yours who was driving around the rest of Ireland, blah, 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 had he been stopped by the guards, he would have been found to be...
he would, yeah. Would have been found to be under the influence. And, you know, pity about him. He made the choice. You know, he got caught. But the point I'm trying to make about this is most of the people who are actually getting caught aren't stoned, because nobody is that stupid nowadays to drive stoned. When the guards are catching them, it's usually because they'd smoked the joint maybe the day before and it's still in their saliva. Cannabis stays in your body a hell of a lot longer, depending on the frequency in which you smoke it and how your body metabolizes it. So the guards are high-fiving each other saying, we're taking all these potheads off the road. But they're not really. The people they're catching aren't stoned. The people just still have it in their system. You drink a pint, it's gone out of your system in an hour.
All right,
cannabis stays there a lot longer.
Well, actually, no, that's not actually accurate.
Oh, sorry, 2 hours.
2 hours, yes. Yeah. So half a pint will be gone in an hour.
Yeah. Well, 2 units per pint. Yeah.
All right, stay there for a second. Sean, you're on 98FM. How are you, Sean?
How are you?
Sean, you used to do it.
I used to do it, up to about 6 months ago.
Okay, and what made you stop?
The guards clamping down on it.
Right, so you were concerned about being caught and perhaps losing your licence?
Yeah, any car, any job.
Okay.
Same as drinking, like.
Okay, so that's the reason you stopped doing it. But obviously, up until that point, you thought it was okay to do it.
I had no problem doing it. No problem. And the guards catching you, the only way the guards catch you stoned driving is at a checkpoint. They're not going to pull you over like a drug person's weaving all over the road. A stoned person's not going faster than 30.
Yeah.
Like I have friends of mine who still smoke it, and not only friends of mine, but you see people on the road, you think they're smoking cigarettes. If you have a proper look, you will notice that they're not. Cigarettes are, you spot a cigarette, but you'd spot a joint in somebody's mouth straight away, especially sitting in traffic. You see them, like. There's
Okay, so do you believe, and I take what you're saying, that you stopped it because of the clampdown by the guards and all of that, right?
Yeah.
But do you believe that you were a danger on the roads. You obviously don't, do you not?
No, I don't. No, I never did. And even my friends now, that they'd be smoking it behind the wheel. I'd be sitting in the passenger seat, they'd be smoking. Again, they're not going anywhere over 40. I think they're more competent drivers when they're stoned than when they're not. When they aren't stoned, they're speeding, they're driving too close to the car in front of them. You know what I mean? They're making themselves a danger on the road when they're not stoned.
Okay, so you obviously don't see why there was a need to clamp down on this. Well, in other words, what I'm asking you is, because, and I'll say it again, I don't smoke the stuff, so I don't know the effect that it has on people.
Yeah, I understand that.
You're saying that it didn't have an effect on your ability to drive. Does it have an effect on other people's ability to drive?
Well, it depends on how long you're smoking. Like, if you have your first joint today, no, God, no, I wouldn't get behind the wheel. But I'm smoking this since I was, say, 15, 16. I'm 35, 36 now, so it doesn't have the effect on me. You know what I mean?
Because you've been smoking it for so long.
Because I've been smoking it for so long, it doesn't have that effect on me. You know what I mean? I'd have a joint and I wouldn't even be stoned. I'd have a normal conversation with anybody and nobody would know I'm stoned.
Why do you bother then?
Why do I bother then? Because it's like cigarettes. You know what I mean? Why do you smoke cigarettes? You don't get anything out of it apart from the nicotine buzz.
Yeah. So
I used to smoke cigarettes, but they taste awful. A joint tastes nice. It smells nice.
Right, so you're addicted to it then, is the reason you continue to smoke?
I wouldn't say I'm not addicted to it. I'd say I'm addicted to it, yeah.
Right, okay. All right, stay there for 1 second, because our next caller, we are using our voice disguiser for, because he doesn't want to lose his job, essentially. We're calling him William, and William, you contacted us to basically say that you drive an Arctic with cannabis in your system.
Yeah, I drive all the time.
You drive all the time? And would you be smoking while you're driving?
Depends on where I'm driving and whereabouts I am. I don't know what type of roads I'm on. I'm over 23 years driving now and smoking. I've had no tips. I have no points. I don't get any tickets. I don't get faults. Like, my driving is 100%.
Okay, now...
But that's not for everybody. Sorry, I just want to say that's not for everybody. I have a very, very high tolerance.
And listening to Sean there a moment ago, he does too. You obviously don't believe that cannabis affects your ability to drive.
Not mine. As I said, I've never had a problem. Never.
Okay, now, as was mentioned a couple of minutes ago, you know, back in the day, people would have argued, oh, well, I can have a couple of pints and drive. In fact, I'm a better driver with a couple of pints. We now know that that's rubbish. It does affect your ability to drive.
Alcohol affects you different than cannabis. With alcohol, you're slurring your speech, you're unsteady on your feet, you know, you can't concentrate, you can't focus. That doesn't happen to me on cannabis. I don't know anybody that happens to on cannabis. I mean, it'd want to be some serious strain of cannabis to make you go like that. Alcohol is totally different. After 2-3 pints, you can feel the difference in yourself with alcohol. Some people after pints. So
okay, let me ask you this then.
There is no comparison with alcohol and cannabis. Alcohol does totally different things to your system.
Okay, let me ask you this then. We just heard from Sean, who decided to give it a rest, to be much more careful about taking cannabis and driving his car because of the clampdown, because he's afraid of losing his licence. Are you not afraid?
No.
No?
No.
What if you stopped at the checkpoint?
I live on the roads. For what I do, I literally live on the roads for weeks on end. I think I've came across 3 checkpoints in the last 6 months.
So you're driving a 60-foot Arctic, are you?
44, yeah.
45, right. And you've not been tested. If you were to be tested...
Once in 20 years, I've been bagged.
Right, once.
No, I don't drink, so yeah, once in 20 years. Honestly, I'm not telling you a word of a lie. Once in 20 years. And I was in the truck with an instructor one night that every now and again were checked, and he'd send an assessor with us. And he was with me when I was bagged at a checkpoint. She let 3 cars through, and she took me out of the truck, and that's once in 20 years.
Okay, now, that's maybe the case, but say, for example, this weekend, the June Bank Holiday weekend, the Gardaí have said that there is going to be a major clampdown on drug driving and drink driving as well. There is a risk that you could be caught.
There is, but there's always a risk. There's a risk now. Any time I go out, that's my decision. That's my decision. If I lose my licence, that's my fault. But to be honest, if I lost, I just go across the water and drive. Well, I have an English licence as well,
so it wouldn't be that much of an effect on you.
Oh no, where I sleep is no relevance to me. I'm always in a truck, so.
Okay, so you're not overly concerned about the possibility of being caught?
No, because I know the way the guards are in this country. As I said, I'm driving a long, long time. I drove all Christmas without seeing one checkpoint. So that's scarcely resourced on the ground. The chances they've run across them, they'll do what they normally do. A major blitz on each motorway, and that'll be it. But the sense will keep us stay off the motorways. You can sort of figure out what they're doing when you're out here that long.
Sean, you packed it in. You don't do it anymore because you're afraid of losing your licence. Is this fella mad?
No, I don't think so. No, if he has tax in his window and his truck is insured, then going through a checkpoint shouldn't be a problem for him. You know what I mean? Because that's all they're doing is checking tax and insurance at a checkpoint. You know what I mean? If you roll down your window and your car stinks of cannabis, then they're going to check you.
Mm.
But if you've had a joint an hour ago and you got in your car and drove away, there's no smell off it. You know what I mean? You're driving at the speed limit. They're not going to check. They're not. They're wasting, because they'll have to check everybody. And that's a waste of their time.
I know, but they have already said that the most common drug that they've detected is cannabis. And
yeah, well, you're not going to drive on heroin, are you? You know what I mean? You're not going to drive on...
Sorry, say that again, William?
You'd be surprised.
Yeah, you would be surprised, yeah.
You'd be very surprised the people you see driving around. We park in a lot of shady places, the back of industrial estates, and I can tell you some of the carry on. They be out of their heads on all sorts of tablets. The biggest one is tablets. Like, the biggest one is tablets that people drive on. If you look at any box of tablets, most of them will say you shouldn't operate machinery. So if that's the case, half the country will be off the road. I mean, there's codeine, and so I take tablets on my back that are codeine-based. So straight away, I shouldn't be driving. But I have to. Yeah. Does that mean the tablets have an effect on me? They don't. All you do is ease a bit of pain. But there's codeine in them. So technically, I shouldn't.
All right, do me a favour, both of you, and stay on the line there for 1 second. 6797 981 is our telephone number. You can text or WhatsApp 0877 98 98 98. Let's have a listen to this WhatsApp voice message.
Why does everything always with people descend down into tribalism? Oh, drunk people do this and stoned people do that. The fact of the matter is, if something alters your mind while you're driving, you shouldn't be doing it. Simple as.
Simple as. Quick break. We're back in just a sec.
98FM's
Dublin Talks
with Des Kelly Interiors. For all the latest trends in carpets, vinyls and wood flooring. Des Kelly Interiors, where quality flooring costs less.
98FM.
And this is Adrian Kennedy with you until midday today. We're in the middle of a conversation all to do with drug driving and how, well, you've been hearing William. He drives an articulated truck and he doesn't believe he is a danger on the roads, even though the Road Safety Authority have said anyone who drives under the influence of drugs is a clear danger to themselves and others. Matthew, you're on 98FM. How are you? Hello, Matthew.
Hello.
Yes, Matthew. How are you?
How's it going?
Good,
How
thanks.
Just a couple of points that I want to say. One of the guys who was on a couple of minutes ago was saying about how long it takes for the drugs to leave your body, okay? Mm-hmm. Now, cannabis and weed and hash take up to 5 weeks to leave your body, and then the likes of benzos and tablets take 6 weeks. So...
although I was reading up about this earlier on, a lot of it depends on the person as well.
Right, the person. But say you get pulled over and you get tested for drugs, right? Mm-hmm. And you smoked a joint 5 weeks earlier and you didn't smoke the joint within the 5 weeks in between, and then that comes up positive. Now, so far, I don't think there's anyone being convicted and lodged an appeal against this. And I think there's a very good legal argument that there's a loophole in this that a lot of these will get thrown out. Now, alcohol is different because when they check you, it's milligram on whatever they judge it to, and you're caught if there's alcohol in your body. But with drugs, and there's other people that prescribe medication say Xanax or diazepam that they take in the morning and afternoon for anxiety, if they drive, that's going to show up as benzos in their system, and then they get done for drug driving as well. So I don't agree with this drug driving thing at all. And then, if it was me myself, and I got pulled over and there was, say, cannabis in my system, like, I'd be pleading not guilty and I'd be talking to the solicitor, and I wasn't really sure on the way the legal system works. There's a way around it and a way of beating it, because the way it stays in our system for so long, well, alcohol is a matter of hours. So I think there's a big difference.
Okay, and there is a difference, but that would also highlight the risk that you're taking, that it is more likely to be detected. That it is a ridiculous risk to take, is it not?
Right, yeah, that's one thing being a risk being detected, but it's another thing being a risk on the road. And if you haven't smoked cannabis in 5 weeks and you're stone cold sober on your way home from work, why should you get convicted of drug driving when you haven't taken drugs? And there's one other point I want to say, that a friend of mine kind of said to me, you could be in your car, okay, and if you're a weed smoker, you could have a small bit of a joint nabbed on the ashtray, and if you come to a checkpoint and the police are there to check people for drugs, you can pull your car over, jump out of the car, lock your car, and then light that bit of a joint up in front of the policeman and walk away from the car. You're not drug driving. If the car is locked, they didn't see you driving, and you can go out and get off, and then that exact copper that's at that checkpoint has to chase you down in the next 6 weeks. That's not going to happen. You know, that's another way of beating, like, as a short as ducking and diving the drug test. But just myself, if it was me, like, not that I don't think it would work. I think people would be wrongly convicted or wrongly getting done for drug driving. As I said, it's that, like, you can smoke two blows off a spliff today, and then 4 weeks later give a urine and it's still in your system. So what if you were to do once off and then 4 weeks later you get done for drug driving? And that's what open court say, and your solicitors arguing your case. Do you not think that that's a bit of a case to argue?
Yeah, you could argue that it is, but here's the reality of it. That's the risk you're taking, knowing that it stays in your system for such a long period of time.
Right, well, that's the risk you're taking. That's the risk that whole of the country are taking, Adrian. Come here, I know about 20 taxi drivers who smoke weed. These are taxi drivers, so their job is to fucking drive.
Mind the language.
Sorry. Drive people around town on a night, a Friday and Saturday night, and people are shouting in the back and all that. But that person probably have to have a few. That taxi driver would have definitely smoked spliffs that day. Now, I'm just going to guesstimate. I'm just going to say 10 taxi drivers. But look, the bottom line is, right, all them cars out on the road, if you're up that you see today, you drive by, a third of them have drugs in their system, or probably more than a third of them, and that's a fact. So it's just a money maker for the police. In other words, another checkpoint, and if they turn up drugs, lovely, bring them to court, £100 fine, and get them banned off the road. I don't agree with it, but the reality is, it's not like drink drivers where at the weekend 1 out of 10 is a drunk driver. Every single day of the week on them roads, a third of the drivers have drugs in their systems, whether that's medication. The guy who had the blurred voice, he mentioned codeine and painkillers. That comes up as an opiate, which is an opiate, you know, an opiate, or it's codeine or cocaine, and they're taking painkillers for the short back, and they're getting done for drug driving as well. That's another point that is wrong. I don't agree with.
Okay, but you obviously believe as well, just like our other callers, that smoking cannabis doesn't affect your driving.
Me, myself, personally, my view, it doesn't affect your driving, no.
You see, a lot of people find that hard.
You know what? Because you know what? You'd be a bit more wary, right? You'd actually be more focused on the likes of traffic lights, or looking at the signs to see what kilometres an hour the road is. You're actually more, me myself, I'd be more aware and more cautious, and I wouldn't be driving. I'd probably drive if I was sober, or not sober, normal, or if you're drunk, you're going to be driving fast, and you don't even believe in red lights. You drive through red lights. From my previous experience being younger, drink driving, but the likes of smoking cannabis, no, you're more or less a clear head. It's not like alcohol at all. They're two completely separate things.
All right, stay there for 1 second, because I know an awful lot of people just don't accept that at all, that it has no effect on your ability to drive. Tricia, you're on 98FM. How are you, Tricia?
Oh, my blood is just boiling here at the moment.
Go on, why?
Well, just listening to them all saying that it doesn't affect them when they're driving and the whole lot. Of course it does. My husband works in CIA, and he can't even take codeine, because if he took it tonight and he's on work in the morning and he was stopped like that for, a check, that would come up. But the thing is, if they found out that if they're taking medication like Nurofen, something like that, well then then that that's not a drug. But for them...
Well, it is a drug. It is a drug, Tricia.
Yeah, it's a drug, it's a pain relief. But that's not going to knock your driving off by no means. But the likes of these that's on the weed and whatever, of course, are they stupid? Because they are stupid, but if they knock something down...
Sorry, Matthew, let me put that to you. Are you stupid or what?
No. No, I'd be very stupid now to have a couple of drinks, or even one drink and jump into a car. If I knew that me driving was off.
Thing, even for my husband to have a drink, if he's on an early shift, he can't have a drink the night before. Yeah. And you know what? The rules should all go out for you as well. I know that's his living, and he's driving people on that bus, and he has to be well insured in case, whatever happens. But sacred heart for the rest of us that can get out and drive.
Right, well, I put a question to you now.
Do you know what? All should be locked up.
Right, listen, I'm going to put a question to you about all should be locked up. What if you had a very serious illness, right, or a very sore back, okay, and you got prescribed painkillers off the doctor, and in them painkillers is codeine or an opiate. I'm going to give you an example. Hang on, my nanny's painkillers is called hold on a second. Tramadol, right? And 50 milligrams. Like they're a painkiller, but if you get pulled over with the police, that's going to come up as heroin in your body, and then you're going to get banned. You get banned off the road then because of you taking your tramadol tablet, your medication. So do you think that's right?
And would you explain to the officer what you were after taking?
Yeah, but he's not going to listen. He's going to see a dirty. He's going to see a dirty in his drugs, and he's going to charge you. You have to explain in court. That's up in court. That's an excuse for up in court.
Why would you not carry around your prescription box and say, look,
I can guarantee you there's heroin smokers that are driving around their cars and they have medication that has that medication, and that's their excuse. So they're already using that excuse now to beat that one. What you're just thinking of has already been thought of already. Everybody's thinking of ways to beat this system, this new rule. Everybody's thinking a little shortcuts ways around.
It should be, yes, exactly.
So what you just said there,
Tricia, when you hear, and we've this is nothing new to hear people trying to defend driving cars, smoking cannabis. When you hear people like this saying, look, this has no effect on me at all,
I don't believe them.
No, I struggle to believe them myself, I have to be honest, because
I couldn't believe them.
I would wonder why anybody would bother smoking the stuff if it has absolutely no effect on me. That's the bit that I do struggle with.
Put them into another world, and they just go sailing by, and they can knock anybody down, and then what? What happens? There's nothing. Even if they're brought to court, there's nothing. They won't get years, but they should. And that's what I think now. It's disgraceful, it is.
All right, well, look, I have to wrap it up there. Matthew, will you continue to do it?
Will I continue to do what?
Do you drive...
So I'm going to give up smoking cannabis so that I avoid. You know what? No, I take my chance. When I go to court, I'd say I didn't smoke a joint in 4 weeks. That's still in your system, and I'll get my solicitor there to back that up, and then I'll see what the outcome in court is. Because I believe
you're going to take you'll take your chances. All right, let me just read out a couple of messages before we wrap this up. I'm Gary, and I work in drug rehabilitation centre. Cocaine and heroin stay in your urine for 5 to 6 days. Cannabis stays in it for up to 28 days. Garda sends your urine to lab and judge the cannabis level and pH levels in your urine. Let's have a listen to a couple of WhatsApp voice messages.
Adrian, why does everything always with people descend down into tribalism? Oh, drunk people do this and stoned people do that. The fact of the matter is, if something alters your mind while you're driving, you shouldn't be doing it. Simple as.
And then one more WhatsApp message.
Hi, just want to make a few words about that drug relation and driving under the influence of weed. I smoked for 24 years and I'm driving for about 18. And I used to drive and I was smoke behind the wheels. Well, I stopped doing it because the checkpoints. And the only reason I stopped doing it is the checkpoints. I don't want to lose my license. But I don't see any problem with that. So people driving, smoking, and like I'm driving for 18 years and I never have any crash. I never have an accident. So I'm not a drinking person at all.
Okay, there you go. I think, there seems to be this belief that it doesn't affect you. I don't buy that, and I know the RSA don't either. Anyway, we're going to take a quick break. We're back in just a moment. When we're going to be starting a new feature on the show that's going to run over the next couple of weeks, encouraging you to buy local.
98FM's
Dublin Talks
with Des Kelly Interiors. For all the latest trends in carpets, vinyls and wood flooring. Des Kelly Interiors, where quality flooring costs less.
98FM.
Now, as you may be aware, we here at 98FM have just wrapped up 98FM's Best of Dublin Awards, where we found 16 incredible people and places who make a difference to our city. And throughout the campaign, the one thing which stood out to us was just how many thriving local villages and main streets there are across Dublin. When you shop locally, you make a real difference to where you live. Local people are employed, local suppliers can do business, and you help create a vibrant place to live and shop. And there's nothing better than dropping into a shop where the retailers know your name and you can have a chat. It's what us Dubliners do best. Well, over the next few weeks, we're going to be shining a light on the many villages and towns across the capital with our Buy Local campaign. Now, this is a 98FM campaign to support independent local businesses. For many parts of the city, these local businesses are the backbone of communities. And here in Ireland, like in other countries, life is changing, technology is developing, and we can sometimes lose sight of the importance our locality can offer. So, 98FM has been part of Dublin communities for over 30 years, and we've decided to chat to local retailers and shoppers to find out what it is that makes their locality so special. So today we are heading north of the Liffey. So let's check in with our Jeremy.
Thanks very much, Adrian. Yes, I've gone to the north side, North County Dublin, and a beautiful little village that I have to be honest with you, I haven't been in many, many years, Donabate. And it's a beautiful day here, very picturesque village. And we're going to be going to local retailers, talking to the people who run these shops, finding out how many staff they employ and what they can offer to locals that maybe other shops can't. Now, so our first port of call is a florist in Donabate called Forget Me Nots. Now, most of you listening have used a florist in the last 6 months or the last year. It's a business that, we all use at some stage. And this particular business has been in Donabate for a long time. So let's go in and talk to the lady who's in here. Good morning, how are you?
How are you?
Now, what's your name?
Mary Wilson.
Mary, lovely to talk to you. Jeremy here from 98FM. Oh. Now, your business, how long has it been here in Donabate?
I'm on my 20th year. I started here in October 1999, and I started here when the shopping centre here actually opened. So I'm one of the original shops here.
Okay, so that's a long time to be in business. You've been through you've been through the Celtic Tiger, you've been through the recession.
I have, and I felt it all.
How bad was the recession for you?
The recession, well, see, a lot of people were hit with negative equity and mortgages and everything, and losing jobs. So I'm a florist, so flowers were on the luxury end, so therefore I would have been hit badly on that. But we struggled through it, and we're still here to see the day.
Now, driving through Donabate this morning, I saw how busy it actually is. It's a very busy place. I noticed one sign, I don't even know if you're aware of this sign. There's a sign outside, just around the corner from your florist, that's basically telling people to shop local and buy local and think local. How important is it for people to shop local, to go to local businesses like yourself that are owned by an individual?
It is extremely important. When people move into a village like Donabate, there's lots of houses being built, but one thing they will look at their schools what they call churches, but they also want to see local shops. They love to see, there's a butcher, there's a flowers and all that. And that's perfect. But then we need these people to come in and buy from us. And we're not expecting to buy all the time and everything from us, but that little bit every time helps us, and then we are also employing people, so it's all good for them.
And have you employed locals? Have you other people, or is it just yourself working here?
I have another girl here who works with me, and I've had locals, and I also have taken in children from the school for when they're doing the transition year.
Oh, the work experience. Okay, that's brilliant.
Well. And I had another local girl here working for me. So yeah, over the 20 years, yes.
And over the 20 years, you obviously get to know a lot of customers, which is one of the things that local businesses, if you go into a big, huge shop, they don't know you. Do you know them all by name? Do you know repeat customers?
I know all their faces. I know, their names. It's old age, so I forget some of the names, but I know who I'm talking to.
Do you have the same men coming in all the time who are after like, maybe screwing up in their marriage and are trying to get...
That's all very confidential.
No, you can't tell us that. But people trying to get back in the good books and buying flowers.
We would have, but then again, yes. But the thing is, when you shop local, I know what people like, and people often laugh if they ring up and say, I want to send lilies to a certain person, and I can say, she actually doesn't like lilies, can we go with something alternative?
That's brilliant. So someone will come in and say, John will come in and you go, well, I'm buying Mrs. Byrne some lilies for her birthday, and you say, no, Mrs. Byrne doesn't like lilies. I'll show you what flowers she likes.
Yes, we can do that. Not with everybody, but for the customers who come into us all the time, we actually would know, and that's what happens with shopping in a local village and shopping locally. You can't get
which is the little personal touch. Okay, so that was the Forget-Me-Not florist. Now let me walk just a couple of yards up the road of the main street of Donabate, and I'm going to go into a dry cleaners by the name of White's, and this is White's here. Now, good morning. Hi, how are you?
Good morning, Jeremy. How are you?
Bernie, is it?
That's right, yes.
Well, how are things?
Fine, not too bad at all. Keeping busy.
So the purpose of this is to talk about local businesses and, how you're doing. And first of all, how long have you been here?
We're here about 7 years now.
7 years. Okay, so in business terms, it's a relatively new business. How has Donabate changed over the 7 years? It's got bigger, obviously, has it?
It definitely has got bigger, yes. Yeah, there's lots of houses going up. There's a new chemist we've just got in there a couple of months ago. So there's lots of things happening, new shops opening, which is good to see.
Now, looking behind you, you look fairly busy because all I can see is clothes on hangers all ready to be picked up. Is business good at the moment?
It is indeed, yes. Sure, we do several services here. We do laundry, dry cleaning, alteration, ironing services. So we do several different services here, customers like.
And how many people does the business employ?
Offhand I'd say about 20, because we have another 2 branches, one in Malahide and one in Portmarnock.
Okay, so a lot of local people are employed in these businesses, it's keeping people in jobs.
Definitely, yes, yeah.
And how important is trade from locals for yourself? Because it's a small little village, you're not going to get people coming from, I suppose, from the city centre out here to use your service. So how important is it that locals use your services?
Well, it is local because, it's so handy here, because all the services we provide in this shop alone, they don't have to go anywhere else. They get everything here. We're sort of, everybody's nice and friendly here. The whole community is sort of very integrated, that everybody knows everybody. So when they come in here, they get a friendly service, we hope, and they come back again.
Do you know people by name?
Yes, several. Oh gosh, yeah. You go out the door here and they say hi Bernie, I say hi Mary, or whoever.
Do you think that friendly? Do you think that makes a difference when you go into a business and the person behind the counter says, "Oh, good morning, Jeremy. You're getting your suit done. You must have a wedding coming up or whatever."
Yeah, exactly. Like when you see coming through the door, you'd say hello, Mary, Tom, whoever, and you'd say you're here for your dry cleaning, you're here for your laundry, whatever. And I don't even sometimes have to ask for the ticket. I just go get it because we're so used to them coming in and out here. We know what they have. So I think they like the personal service, the personal touch, that you know them.
And Donabate generally, I know it is expanding. There's lots of new housing estates being built.
There's several houses, 2,500 I think houses are going up between here and Portrane. And as you can see on your way in, if you knew the Hearst Road there is all being changed, we've got a new motorway and that. So I'd say there'll be lots of new shops coming along in the next couple of years.
And a few more yards up the main street of Donabate, we find a hairdresser's called Raymar Hairdressers. So let's go in here and see. I hope they're not too busy. Good morning. How are you? Is that Lisa?
Yes.
Hey, Jeremy here from 98FM. How are things?
Grand.
We're out in Donabate today for 98FM. We're trying to get across the importance of people shopping in local businesses.
Yeah, I think people should stay in their own locality and spend the money in their own locality and bring generation of money into their own locality.
Now, the one thing about a hairdresser's and a barber's, you may not know this from the lack of hair on my head, but I do go to a hairdresser's regularly, is that you like to go to the same place where they know exactly what haircut you want. You know, they may know you personally. Do you know a lot of your clients personally?
Oh yeah, you build up a relationship with your clients over the years and they're more like your friends, and you like to generate more business as well. So it's just more like friendship, and then they come in and you get to know them instead of not knowing the person you're going to be doing, you know.
Yeah, so you skip that whole awkward thing of not knowing their name or not knowing what type of haircut they like. So, you know, you probably know about their family and stuff.
Oh yeah, you hear it all.
How has it changed over the last 10 years?
Oh, it's got much bigger. There's more houses being built. It's more gone from a village, but they need a few more amenities because there's only one shopping centre. They need a few more things, and there's 5,000 houses being built down the road. So,
well, that's a huge amount of houses, which is good news for you and other businesses.
Yeah, businesses will get bigger, but also they have to have amenities for everybody. But sure, it's just grown a lot since the last 10 years I've been here.
So it was a sleepy little village 10 years ago, was it? I couldn't believe it. I haven't been here in years, and when I drove in, I couldn't believe the crowds that were walking through the main street.
Yeah.
In fact, here's your first customer now.
Here's my first customer.
Sorry, what's your name?
Mary.
Mary, very early to be getting a haircut, isn't it?
I like to get out early in the mornings. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Now, we're talking about the importance of shopping local and using local businesses. You're from Donabate, are you?
Oh, yes, yeah. 28 years.
28, so you're not a blow-in. You're here. 28 years and you're still a blow-in. How important is it to use local businesses like this?
Well, it's very important to the businesses, but it's great for the local people. We don't have to travel. Sure, you know, everything is on our doorstep.
As you know, every locality, every village, every town needs a pharmacy because people get sick. Sometimes people don't feel well. And we've popped into Life Pharmacy on the main street of Donabate, and I'm joined by Rhonda. You're very welcome to 98FM.
Good morning. Good morning to everybody.
So the reason we're here today is to talk to people about the importance of shopping local. How long are you here in Donabate?
Personally, I'm living in Donabate 20 years, but I'm working for Jane for over 11 years now at this stage.
And how long is the pharmacy here?
The pharmacy is here 21 years, 22 this year, I think.
Okay, wow. So it's seen a lot of change. A lot of the other businesses that are here are telling me how the village is expanding, and, you know, there's lots of houses being built. Is business good at the moment?
Business is great at the moment. We have a wonderful, loyal customer base, and we're just delighted that they continue to support us year after year.
So loyal customers are obviously a thing. Returning customers is good for business, and local customers. You see the same faces coming in regularly, do you?
We do, but we actually have seen a lot of new faces lately because, as you've said, this village is going through massive changes at the moment. So we've got lots of new families in, and it's lovely to see them.
What's the advantage from a customer's point of view, of shopping locally in a chemist, in a pharmacy where they know you?
Well, firstly and foremostly, we're accountable. We're their neighbours. We live here. We work here. You know, we're always going to want to do the best for them because we know them. They're our neighbours.
There's a fair few customers out there for this time of the morning. Would you know all those people, their faces anyway?
I'd know each and every one of them, and their kids and their husbands and probably their mothers.
So there's two people out there that are probably in their late teens. You probably know them since they were a baby.
Absolutely, we would, yeah. That's the advantage, I suppose, of living and working, you know, in the community, that you get to know everybody from pretty much from the time they're born.
Well,
you know?
that's absolutely brilliant.
I think if you want to maintain the vibrancy of your community and your main street in your community, you need to shop locally. You need to support your local business. You can't complain about the lack of facilities in your neighbourhood if you don't support them.
And that is Rhonda from Life Pharmacy in Donabate there, wrapping up that piece from Jeremy in Donabate. And as I said, we here at 98FM encouraging you to buy local. That is it from us for today. Thank you for joining us. We're back again tomorrow morning at 10. If you want to get in contact with us, send us an email right now. DublinTalks@98fm.com. Andy Clark is on the way. In the next hour, he's got some great music lined up like these.
FM's Dublin Talks with Des Kelly Interiors. For all the latest trends in carpets, vinyls and wood flooring. Des Kelly Interiors, where quality flooring costs less. 98FM.